Tracey L. Fisher. Welcome to A Reentry Point of View. And I'm here with my guest today, Rania Major.
Thank you so much for having me on.
How you doing? Did I pronounce that right?
You did, thank you.
All right, that's good. Listen, she's running for a common plea judge. And I'm going to let her tell you something about a few things about herself.
Oh, thank you. My name is Rania Major. I've been practicing for 30 years now, the last 18 of which my office has been at 5th in Indiana. A lot of people in your viewership know my nickname. I have a street name, the Pitbull or the Pitbull in the Skirt. I don't even know where you want me to go, Tracy. I mean, I do everything from civil, landlord-tenant, to homicides, family court, civil, all the way over to federal court, civil rights. I want to be a common pleas judge because I believe in our Constitution and I don't believe it's being enforced enough. I want to be a common pleas judge because even in my practice, my clients become my friends. I help them after they come out. Whether they're there because they have to sit and wait for me to win their case, or whether it's because they took a plea and they're coming out later. I believe that the way to better our entire community is to help people the best that we can with everything they need, not just some programs. They need support and emotional support, which is why I think your program is just absolutely phenomenal.
Thank you, I appreciate that. Take it from somebody that sat in court quite a few times. You definitely want somebody on your side that actually, with that nickname, Pitbull. I'm telling you why. Because we're defenseless when we sit there. First of all, we haven't been to law school. So when we hear the judge and the DA and lawyers speak, it's mumble jumble to us as far as the, the terminology that y'all use. And second of all, we want to have that feeling that somebody believes in us. Even if we wrong, you shouldn't get pile stuff on us. Where if it's a 3-year sentence, but you give us a 10-year sentence. How you feel about over that, like over sentence?
Okay, first of all, let me clarify. There's a difference between being a lawyer and an advocate and being a judge. Okay, so I don't know that I can be called the Pitbull judge. But what I take with me, I'm 55 years old. I am not going to change. I have compassion and understanding for people, and I call them like I see them. I'm known for that and for being fair. I believe in listening to both sides and making a decision based upon the facts. I also believe that our Constitution is not enforced enough. There have been many of times that I have provided case law to the judges that a motion to suppress or a motion for something another should have been granted and it wasn't. Okay? A function of a common pleas judge is twofold. Okay? It's to act as both potentially a judge-only trial, which you're aware of, or to conduct a jury trial and preside over it. Okay? In my courtroom, I think that most of the lawyers on both sides feel comfortable that they will get a fair shake either way and would be able to do bench trials. When it comes to sentencing, a lot of judges don't always deviate from the guidelines. As you know, at least for certain offenses, first-time offenders, there are no more mandatory sentences.
Absolutely.
However, once somebody's a recidivist, or for some strange reason with ARD and DUIs, it hasn't been challenged yet, although that's municipal level, then there are mandatory sentences. If somebody is going to deviate from a mandatory sentence, a judge, he or she needs to write a well-written opinion. They need to be able to put facts forward as to why. They need to rely not just on pre-sentence investigation reports, but the attorneys and the caliber of attorneys so that they can come forward and they can say, these are the things that my client has in his or her background that could impact what you do with your sentence. Show me how we can help this person so they don't become a recidivist. And I intend on providing a checklist of information I want to know from both sides when it comes to sentencing that they might think is relevant, because I repeatedly see a lot of attorneys not mention a lot of things and get into some of the psychological factors or the factors in somebody's background that could actually help them at sentencing or help them get programs that they need.
Wow. Now, let's say you the judge and you sentence someone, and now they've been away for a while, and you decide on your own without the lawyer requesting it to bring them back in front of you.
Absolutely.
You offer that?
Absolute. Not just waiting for the lawyer to bring it back, but let's say they're out on probation or parole.
Right.
I'm not going to wait for the probation officer or the parole officer, because I want them to know that I'm watching you, I'm here to help. If you think you're starting to fall off your path, there are people, your PO or whomever, that can reach out and try to keep you on the path so that you don't go back. And go to Gateway for Reentry. Let them help you find a job. Let them teach you how to parent. Let them help you with everything to help you be the best human you can.
And that's awesome. Now, what's your like the degrees that you have?
Oh, Lordy.
Yes.
Okay. I have 3 undergraduate degrees from UNC Chapel Hill, and yes, I was there with Michael Jordan. Political science, psychology, and history. However, Carolina will not recognize the fact that I have enough hours for a 3rd degree undergraduate. And then obviously I have my Juris Doctorate, or my JD law degree, which I got in Birmingham, Alabama, from a school called Cumberland. And I came up here, I'm originally from Chicago, went to Greensboro. When my father got transferred down there, dig down to Birmingham, and couldn't wait to come up to what I thought was the cradle of liberty, but we're still ringing that bell.
With a crack in it.
Yes.
So the bell's not perfect.
Nobody's perfect.
Exactly.
Including me.
Right. But you can have perfect intentions.
You can have perfect heart, and you can try to do the best you can, and you can answer to God, because that's who you answer to.
And I can say this from experience. Once we in court, we found guilty, or even if we on trial, we pray that we have a fair judge. The judge is only a human being, but you can be a fair human being. Is this what you would bring to the bench?
Absolutely. Here's what I say. I would rather be in front of a judge who knows the law and rules against me, for example, on an objection, than someone who doesn't know the law and rules in my favor. So I don't only bring fairness, I bring experience. Okay? I bring 30 years of experience in virtually every court. I know the rules of evidence. I know the rules of civil procedure. I know the rules of criminal procedure. I know the rules of appellate procedure. I created one case last year in workers' comp, created 2 new laws in it that helps the working man and woman in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Wow.
I have a case now pending before the Pennsylvania Superior Court, which may be a case of first impression, testing the constitutionality of a criminal law that more and more counties are enforcing because of the fentanyl heroin problem. So not only would I be fair, but I'm knowledgeable, and I may not always be right. No person is, but I would hope that I would make the best and correct decision based upon whatever's presented before me. I also do not believe that trial judges, whether it's as a bench trial or a jury trial, should get in there and ask questions for either side because they see one attorney or another not making their case out. Judges are only allowed to ask questions to clarify something, okay? So if somebody testifies, for example, he was speeding, but nobody says, well, what do you mean by speeding? Then I could say, well, what do you mean by speeding? But you can't keep going on and on, okay? A judge is just one spoke in the wheel. They may be in charge of that courtroom, but without everybody in the courtroom, you can't operate. I operate my office the same way. We're all equal. You have a problem, come to me. You have a suggestion, come to me. Let's work this out, let's make it the best that we can, and let's do this.
Right.
I would be that type of judge.
Now, I met with 80% of the individuals that's running in this election. Let me ask you this. Are you having fun?
I'm having a blast. I love meeting people, I love touching lives, and every life that touches yours adds something to you and adds something to everybody. And if I can touch somebody's life, and I can bring something positive to them, or a new suggestion, then I love it. I love being out in the public. It gets a little hairy. It's hard to get from here to there without transporters. One day maybe we'll have them, but right now we don't. But I love being out there.
And I asked that question because I feel your passion, and I met with a few individuals where they stress and they losing their focus on why they ran in the first place. What was that moment, that decisive moment? You decide, I'm going to run for judge. Do you recall that moment?
Sort of, kind of. I was 6 years old. And I read a book by F. Lee Bailey.
Oh, he's great.
And there was never any doubt that I was going to be a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
The only other thing I would have done is also get my psychology degree, because I do a lot with the disabled and the homeless. But I wanted to get a psychology degree to work with disabled children. People have wanted me to run for judge for years, which has humbled me. But it got to the point where it's time. It's time.
Like when you saw that we knew all the same individuals, and you asked me, you said, well, why are we just meeting? And I told you, because it's time.
True.
You meet the individuals you're supposed to meet at the set time it was set for you to meet. So yes, it's a small world. So this is the time for you to run for judge. This is the time, I believe, for you to become the judge.
Thank you.
And once you become the judge, you have to, I will hope, you keep that same passion. You understand? Where I done seen some judges, right? I'm not gonna mention names.
I call it judge-itis.
Judge-itis, yes. They just fell back, and now they just. But I visit courtrooms a lot. They acknowledge me when I'm in here, but I'm just saying, I go to just,
To watch.
to see, what's really going on. How do you feel about an individual that's in your courtroom, and you're the judge, and he or she is on trial where it should be an open and shut case where they shouldn't be found guilty, but the lawyer is doing a terrible job where he or she might be found guilty. You as a judge, what do you do?
If it's a jury trial, you can always set aside the verdict.
Oh.
If the Commonwealth is not making out their case, and even if it's a bad cross-examination by the defense attorney, there's always a motion for acquittal. Hopefully they make that motion, and in the right circumstance, it would be granted. My first homicide was won that way, at a motion for acquittal.
Wow. Yeah. Now, let's say I'm the lawyer, and I'm doing a terrible job. And so we go out. We go out and you throw the motion aside. I done lost the case. You call me into your chambers. What do you say to me as that bad, terrible defense lawyer?
First of all, you can't bring just one attorney back.
You bring them both back.
You have to bring them both back. Unless
even after the case is over?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
So, okay, so you have me and the DA
I believe
in there.
that. I need, unless the DA would approve
of just that.
Of it being just the defense attorney, if it was the defense attorney that I thought, could have been better.
Right.
That's a tough one. I mean, I call them like I see them. I'm known for doing that. That's part of the reason I think I have my nickname, which was given to me. I didn't take it for myself. But you have to get them there. I believe in courtroom decorum, for example.
Explain that to my audience.
Okay, I know this sounds really simplistic and silly, but if a man is required to wear a tie to a courtroom, then a woman should be required to wear pantyhose to a courtroom. I'm very old-fashioned that way. When you address a judge, you're not supposed to say judge, you're supposed to say your honor. When you're speaking about a judge, you can say judge so-and-so. I was taught you're not ever supposed to put your hand in your pocket when you're in front of a jury or in a courtroom. things like that. I also see that sometimes civility exists and sometimes it doesn't. You should be able to walk into a courtroom, do your thing, beat up, the other side professionally, and you should be able to walk out and shake hands and go grab a beer or whatever. So those are some of the things I would hope to do. I still think our courts have a long way to go with other respects. Let's cut down on some of the budgets. Let's let POs, for example, beam in by Skype or something instead of sitting in a courtroom wasting their time.
Right.
There are a lot of things that can be improved upon, and I do want to see good representation from both sides. So I have to think about your question a little bit more and how you handle that as a judge.
Okay. Let me ask you this. It's May 16th.
Yes.
And you just found out you won. What do you do? At that moment,
You are
just
going to make me
found
tear
out.
up now.
Oh, then tear up.
I call my parents. They're in Florida. My father's starting to lose his memory. He has COPD and dementia from that. My mother just got diagnosed with Parkinson's before the holiday, and I call them and thank them.
Wow.
That's the first thing I do. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'm mushy.
Right.
Sometimes.
But
Don't tell anybody.
even the pit bull is mushy with his owner. he ain't gonna bite the owner.
I call my parents.
Right.
The next thing that I do, wow, start meeting with a lot of people to see what I can do to make it better.
Like what
in
type
the
of people,
courtroom.
like in your mind frame? What type of
Well,
people?
for example, APPD, I have the endorsement of Ask Me Local 47, which is adult probation and parole. I would want to start to see what they think can be done to better run a courtroom, to make their lives easier, their budgets easier, and things like that. I would start, obviously, you start picking your staff, although you can't forget, there's still November. I know technically in Philadelphia, you win the primary, you sort of win November,
yes.
so I'm making that assumption right now, correctly or incorrectly. I would meet with staff and people who would want to be around me and start looking for ways to improve it.
Let's tell my voters this. How can they reach you?
You can find out more about me if you'd like at majorforjudge.com. I'm also on Facebook. My first name is spelled R-A-N-I-A, Major. I'm also on Twitter, although I don't use it as much as Facebook. And you can also call me at my office is 215-291-5009.
Wow. And you have it. I'm Tracey L. Fisher, a reentry point of view with Major.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Thank you for
Thank
coming.